All right, welcome to The Current. It's 2013, brand new year. Got the first show of the year. We have a very special guest, hip-hop musician and singer, Michael Wansley, coming in all the way from Seattle, Washington. Wanz, thank you so much, man, for coming on the show.
No worries, yo. What's up? How you doing?
Doing well. Wanz is actually a high school friend of my parents, and over the years, heard them talking about his music at high school reunion and different thing. And for those of you that don't know, Wanz made a big splash on the track "Thrift Shop" with Macklemore this year. It peaked at number 5 on the top 100 on Billboard. It's number 2 on iTunes right now, and the video has over 50 million views on YouTube. So Wanz, congratulations on the success this year.
Yeah, thanks very much. You forgot to mention that it's been number 1 on the Australia's charts
Yes, I did forget to mention that.
For 7 weeks straight, and it's 5 times certified platinum by their standard.
Wow. Is there any reason why it's so much bigger over in Australia?
I couldn't tell you. Maybe at the end of February when we get back from touring there, I can tell you, but I can't tell you now. I don't know.
That's crazy. Well, before we jump in, I got a quick funny story. I had to get an MRI about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they gave you the headphones to listen to while and Thrift Shop comes on the radio. And I'm freaking out, but you can't move, right? So I'm
right.
Stuck in there jamming out to the song, but I was like, oh, that's cool. I mean, especially being here in Florida, hearing it on the radio is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've only heard it on the radio like 4 times since it all dropped. But I don't listen to the radio much. And the funny story is, the funniest part of it is, for me, 3 of those times I've always been with someone who's in the tour, if not Ben and Ryan themselves.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then the 4th time I'm driving around here, and I hear it on the local station, and at the end of the song, they do the ID to say, what song it was, and they mispronounced my name.
Oh, what did they say?
I was like, are you kidding me?
What did they say, Wanz?
Pulled over. Yeah, they said Wanz.
Oh, man.
Macklemore Ryan Lewis featuring Wanz. Pull over to the side of the road, dial up the station, go through to the producer, and I got a recording, and it's like, wait a minute. I'm in my own town. Here's my website. Go here. It has in my bio a description of how to say my name.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, well, if it makes you feel any better, my last name gets butchered all the time. So
yeah. Yeah, your dad and I had that in common in school.
Yeah. So I follow you on Instagram and got to see, a little glimpse of all the cool places you got to go this year. As you kind of sit back and think about 2012, how would you describe it?
All of it is phenomenal. The story goes like this.
Okay.
I was laying in bed on a Monday night, minding my own business, and I got a call from a friend of mine who asked me, had I ever heard of Macklemore? And at the time, I was familiar with the name, but never heard any of the music. I live up in the north end of Seattle and not really downtown in the mix with all the hip-hop that's in Seattle. I just know I've heard of cats that are, here and there that are in it because I've been doing music in this town for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, long story short, he takes me over to their studio because they've heard recordings of stuff that I had done in the past. We walk in, meet each other. Ben describes to me what the song's about, what he wants me to sing. I kind of sing it to him just right there. He's like, yeah. I go into the booth, get some levels, cut the track, rehearse, and cut the track. Then do the little bridge part. I wear your granddad's clothes part. Do that. Everybody's really, really happy. It sounds phenomenal in the studio, and they cut me a check, and I was on my merry way. Whole process, hour and a half, maybe.
Wow, that's I'm sure that's unheard of, right? In the music business.
It's completely unheard of. Yeah, it's like I got to their studio probably just before, probably like 12:30, 12:35 in the morning.
Wow.
And was in bed before 2 a.m.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's crazy.
That's unheard. I'm sure that's unheard of, right?
That never happens. That never ever happens.
Wow, that's cool. So why do you think this song just took off so much? Is it the content of the song, or you think more the digital age of the music business?
Well, I think it's a combination of 2 things. The song itself on upon close scrutiny.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, it's different because it's a happy song about doing happy things, as opposed to, the typical hip hop song that's either talking about girls, guns, dope, or cars,
Mm-hmm.
or someone else's major persona, whatever. It's a different topic. It's something that people can relate to. It's a fun song, and the hook is really easy, really catchy, and the video is just crazy good.
Yeah. What was it like filming that music video? It looks just like a total party the whole time. Was it really that much of a party, or was it a lot harder than it looked?
Well, yeah, I can only talk about the part that I was in.
That's
What's really
true.
odd,
Yeah.
after doing the recording, right? It's like totally, just like it was totally random that I got that call
Mm-hmm.
to go and record. It's like another total random call. Hey, what are you doing today? Well, I had a day job. I'm going to a day job, and blah 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 blah. Well, would you be available for a video shoot? Well, okay. Then their manager comes and picks me up, and we go to a store to pick up the suit.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm at the spot where they're recording it, which was like downstairs of a bar in downtown Seattle. So I hadn't seen any of the
Other
thrift stuff. In fact, I had never, before the second day of filming, I had never heard the whole track.
Wow.
I mean, all I heard was like an instrumental that had my voice on it, and that was the chorus. I hadn't heard any of Ben's verses. I didn't really know, because once I left the studio, it was like,
Yeah.
I've done this before. I've been doing it for a guy here for over a decade, and it's like, once I leave because nobody ever really needs me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was really wild to get done shooting the boat scenes, and then Ryan's taking me up to the bus stop so I can get a bus home. No, to get home.
Oh, get home.
A day off of work, right?
Gotcha.
And he plays it for me for the first time, and I was like floored. I had never sounded that good. I mean, Ryan is just like, he's Mr. Magic. He really knows what he's doing, and he's frightfully smart.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't see the whole video until the video premiere itself.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm in the room with the rest of the cast and extras and whatnot, and it's like trying to pick my jaw up off the floor when I saw it for the first time, and it was, to me, it was so good, so on par with all the other videos that were out and that I had seen and stuff, but I never anticipated that it would catch on like it did. The second part of your question, my answer to your question, I think a lot of it has to do with all the things that Macklemore has done beforehand.
That's true.
Irish Celebration, Other Side, all these other Wings, all these other videos, and My Oh My, there was already precedent, and he this is the first artist that I've been involved with in Seattle that had spent the time to cultivate and grow his audience.
He had that cult following already. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it just floored me, the places where we went and how popular he was. I didn't see that coming.
Wow.
I mean, I live in this town. This is a guy that I'd heard his name before. I actually saw him do My Oh My opening night of the Mariners 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's all I knew.
So the suit, you mentioned you went to pick up the suit. Is that an actual thrift store suit, or is that? Can you give a secret on that?
Oh, it's no secret. I mean, it's a suit from a store in Seattle that's legendary, and the store is called Leroy's Menswear.
Okay.
And they specialize in like Steve Harvey type clothes. Been there since the early '80s. I mean, been there since I've come to Seattle, and that's like, I've been in Seattle since '86, and it's always been there. And the odd thing is that, talking to the guy Leroy that owns it, one of his good friends owned another shop in Tacoma where I grew up.
Yeah.
And my dad took me there to buy suits.
Oh, wow, when you were a kid.
Yeah, when I was a kid. So
wow,
I'm connected with this guy in a weird roundabout way.
Whoa.
It's just that's kind of like your and I's connection. It's just
yeah. Dude, this whole year just sounds like a dream for you, man. That is crazy.
It absolutely is. Last year I thought my life was really, really good because a friend of mine I went to college with pointed me towards and encouraged me to audition for Porgy and Bess, which is a Gershwin opera.
Okay.
It's rarely ever performed in the U.S. And they were doing it in Seattle. I'd never ever done opera before. Man, I've been singing since I was 5 years old. Never done opera before. But I auditioned and got to be a part of the chorus. And then so last summer for the month of August, there's 8 sold out shows, and I'm part of an opera. And I thought that was like the high watermark. And then all of a sudden comes the beginning of July, and I get this call, and I go and record this song. And now, at the end of 2012, I'm turning around going, wow, when I started this year, I had a great paying job with benefits and everything. And I was pretty happy, like my boy had decided to come and live with me, and we were getting him graduated from high school, and my life was pretty well set. All I needed to do was just go forward, and I was just recording music on my own because I've always had a love of music. Now, all of a sudden, millions of people have seen my face, heard my voice. I've been on tour for the very first time in my life and played to nothing but sold out shows. And this is a dream that it's a dream I've had literally since I was like 7 years old.
Man. Well, speaking of dreams, my dream it would to one day host, a Jimmy Fallon type show, and you actually got to go on Jimmy Fallon and perform. What can you give some behind the scenes? What was that whole experience like?
Man, that was kind of surreal in the sense that you watch it every night, 5 nights a week, and you see that the legends playing there all the time.
I mean, you got the Roots, the biggest hip hop group.
And then all of a sudden, I'm in NBC studios. I freaked out, and I was like taking pictures, Radio City Music Hall is across the street, and we get our ID badges, and we go up to the floor we're supposed to be on, sitting in a green room, waiting, and we get called in for rehearsal, and there they are, and it's like, you don't know how to act all of a sudden. For me, it was like that anyway. And we get done doing the rehearsal, you shake hands with the guy, and you introduce yourselves, and they are extremely professional, extremely businesslike. I really didn't know how to interact with them in a non-professional way, and so I really didn't have any conversations with them. It was just, I was just really happy to be in the room, to be honest with you. But then, then we come in to do the taping, and I'm standing in my spot when we come back, when they come out of commercial, and all of a sudden, before I know it, Jimmy Fallon has gotten up from his desk, run over to me while the cameras are still off, grabs my hand and just looks at me in the eye and goes, "Kill it," and then runs back. I'm looking around the room going, what just happened?
Well, dude,
we're on.
You totally killed it, man.
Then it's the thing, and we're done. The show goes off, and they cut, it's like done, and we're done. And he comes and he's shaking everybody's hand. He gets over to me, and he goes, "That's the way you kill it." I was like, yeah,
you totally did, man. That suit, you just looked awesome on TV. It was so cool.
Ben was just like, he was being told, no, don't go up into the audience, don't do this, we're not going to have enough time, and he totally nailed it with throwing the clothes into the audience. It made it fun, right? What the song is all about.
Exactly.
It's a lighthearted song. It's all about having fun, and I think we pulled that off pretty well.
That was awesome. I was up there 2 weekends ago and went to a taping. I was so bummed I missed you guys. The musical performance, it was Grace Potter, but she was more of like a power ballad piano type. So we actually were in the band section, but it definitely wasn't as fun as your guys' performance.
Yeah, well, I didn't know they were going to be there. I didn't even see those seats in rehearsal, and we're walking on to do the taping, and all of a sudden there's people behind us. I'm like, where did you guys come from? It's great.
Now, my mom said you saw Anne Hathaway in the hallway or something like that in passing.
So after, we're waiting for the taping, right? We've already done the rehearsal. We're waiting for the taping, and I'm going to make sure everything on, get my cufflinks in order, go to the bathroom, and walking down the hall. And standing in the hall is this tall, thin, statuesque brunette, and I'm getting closer, and it's Anne Hathaway. And I mean, she's a knockout, but she's a lot thinner than I thought, and my brain was like, oh boy, she is freakishly tall. She's like, it was like 6'6", 6'5", something like that. I was like, and I didn't want to, I didn't want to get all awestruck and everything. I just knew who it was, and I totally forgot. I wasn't even thinking about, her whole thing in Les Mis or anything like that. Yeah. I had my own mental ping pong game going on, so it's just kind of walked past. But I'll tell you this, after the show was over, you know, our there's a friend of the band he works there, and he says, "Hey, Jimmy's out in the hallway talking to Smeagol. If you want to go talk to him." I grab my camera and hop on down the
Yeah.
hallway, And so Ben and I are standing there, and we thank him and chop it up. We were like having conversation. That's for like 25 minutes, half an hour, just
That's
laughing
awesome.
and joking. He is like one of the most regular dudes ever.
Yeah, that's what seems so great. He just seems like a normal, goofy guy, just having fun doing what he loves. It's
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah. He's the real deal. The guy that you see on the camera,
Hmm.
that's the guy that I saw off camera, and that's who I shook hands with, and we're joking about the Wonder Dog guy, and
Hmm.
and Smeagol are telling stories from Saturday Night Live, and you just kind of start feeling kind of weird because it's like Saturday Night Live, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, he looks at you and says, "Yeah, everybody from the taping of Saturday Night Live ran down to catch your performance. It was the funniest thing. It's like they were breaking their legs so they could see the performance." And I'm going, I didn't see those people.
That's
Oh,
probably a good thing, right?
like, oh snap! What's going to happen? Andy Hader's going to get a hold of me next, dude. We need a low voice on the thing, and
Yeah,
I'm going to have
yeah.
to I'm doing Dick in the Box, the low.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, you just never know,
Yeah.
and my whole this whole thing has kind of been like trying to take a sip from a fire hose. It's all happened really, really fast. I mean,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden I find myself in this position where this light is on me, and for a guy who's been playing music in and around Seattle for 30 years, yes, 30 years, I'm old. It's become this, oh my God, what do I do now stuff. That's
Yeah,
pretty much what I'm into now, is like, trying to get a website together and trying to get a recording together, just something to throw out there,
definitely.
and trying to get shirts and stuff printed up, to take to Australia, because, it's like, wow, I sing on a number one song in a
Yeah,
country.
you got to
And
hit your
it's,
brand as much as you can while the
yeah,
spotlight's on you.
you can only enjoy it for a certain amount. Is
Hmm.
what I figured out in October, after I quit my full-time job to go out and do the rest of the West Coast. I
That's
did the
awesome.
Northwest, and then I went and did the West Coast, but I had to quit my job to do it. And my job, I feel sorry for him, but you don't ask me the question, are you coming back, the night after I've played
Uh,
a sold-out show at the Fillmore, Mecca, guys like me who've
uh-huh.
been into the music, since they can remember.
Hmm.
What do you do?
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to figure it out, and how do I create a revenue stream? How do I make an income out of this? And all those nasty little questions that everybody always asks themselves. Am I good enough? Is somebody going to like it? Am
Hmm.
I doing it right? All those things. I got to live with that every single day now to try to make it happen, because
Hmm.
a friend of mine called me up the very first time I'd been to New York, and I'm in a cab riding from JFK into Manhattan, seeing Manhattan skyline for the very first time. And this guy calls me, and we're talking. I'm telling him about what's going on. And he says, "Well, you only get one bite of the apple, dude. You better make it
Hmm.
a good one."
Yeah.
So that's all I'm
Yeah.
trying to do. Yeah, no, totally prophetic. You know what I mean?
That's cool. What? So,
Yeah.
what would you say to someone? Obviously, you've been chasing your dream for a long time. To someone, to any artist, musician, filmmaker, anyone who's kind of be into this arts and entertainment world, just about chasing your dream and not giving up. What would you have to say to them?
Couple of things. First of all, respect people's opinion, but don't necessarily listen to it. You know, um, my I go out to I try to go out and talk to kids in line,
Hmm.
for shows, and you look at kids, and it's like you remember what it was like being 14, 15, 16 years old, and there's all these influences, and you're not sure about this and you're not sure about that. And for as long as I can remember, the only thing that has always been there is my ability to hear a song, sing a song. I taught myself how to write a song, and that's what I can do.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not the best singer in the world. I'm not Usher. I'm not Kings. I'm not Anthony Hamilton.
Hmm.
I'm not uh, Nat King Cole.
Hmm.
You know, and to be able to be cool in that spot that you occupy, and then to say, you know what, I'm just going to do what makes me happy. That's what I would tell anyone who has some sort of gift, and everyone does. But what happens is, what the tendency is that you look at what you do and then you compare it to somebody else.
Right, right.
That's the problem. I mean, even back in the day when I was playing golf with your dad, dad would kick my ass on the regular, you
Uh-huh.
know, and to a certain extent that had a lot to do with me not playing golf as much.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, the next time I hear about your dad, he's living in Florida, has one of the most prestigious golf schools in the country, if not the world.
Hmm.
I mean, the first time I heard about him, my nephew, who's a golf fanatic, was telling me about going to Q school, and he mentioned your dad's name.
Wow, that's crazy.
You know, so I wrote a song in '81 called with this band that I was in college with,
Hmm.
and it's called "Give Up Your Dreams, You Die,"
Hmm.
and that was inspired by the old movie Flashdance.
Okay.
And if you haven't seen Flashdance, go back and see it. And
I'll
I
have to check that out.
dare you to find the line because
Okay.
it's in the movie. Don't you understand? If you give up your dreams, you die. Now, the second answer to your question, when the heist dropped,
Hmm.
it was on my birthday. It was on my 51st birthday.
Wow.
Okay, I'm 51 years old, and I'm sitting at my desk, and I've just downloaded it.
So you're
Notice I
still
didn't.
at your day job then? On
Yeah,
the
I'm still at my day
yeah.
job. I'm sitting. I'm on the 21st floor of a building, looking out over South Seattle, and it's a beautiful day. You
Uh-huh.
know, and I just get through listening to 10,000 Hours and don't really listen to it as much as I'm reveling in the fact that this guy that I know has dropped an album that I am on, right? And Can't Hold Us comes on.
Hmm.
And I listen to that first verse, and he's talking about, I got a 4-track in my backpack riding across town,
Hmm.
crushing.
Hmm.
And I had to rewind and start it from the beginning, and that's when I realized that the story that he's telling is exactly my
Your
story.
story as well, yeah.
It's exactly the struggle that I'd been going through for decades, and I had to break down and cry. I had to cry because I knew that I then realized what was about, what really could happen, and that it was real. I mean, it just never seemed real. Even when I was at the you
Hmm.
know, rehearsals for the first show of the West Coast tour after they get back from Europe, and it just really didn't seem very real until the 9th of October when I'm sitting at my desk at about 9:30 in the morning, and I hear that, and I couldn't stop crying. I had to leave and go to the bathroom because I couldn't stop crying.
That's
And I mean,
amazing.
since since then, I've like analyzed every single song, and 10,000 Hours is
Hmm.
also it's also my story. And I think that's the reason why, over the length of the tour, Ben and I started to get close in the sense that we understood each other very well,
Hmm.
in that he was just a younger version of me. And we had been through some of the same things, only it was more recent for him. But the things that he talks about in almost every one of his songs is parts that I have already lived. And so this is now the whole Heist album has become a part of me, in the sense that not only the song that I sing on, but every single one of the songs, given the struggle that I've been through in the course of my life and the persistence it's taken to keep going and believe and wonder and dream and have courage and have faith. All those things are things that I have actually lived and have gotten me to this point.
Hmm. And how much of that has just prepared you for this moment now where the spotlight's on you? Do you feel like you're ready to kind of take it and run with it, having been through all that?
Um, in a sense, I mean, nothing. I'm telling you, nothing prepares you for walking out on stage in front of 7,500 people like I did the very second show that
Wow.
I had ever done with Macklemore. You
Wow.
know, second show, 7,500 people, sold out show, WAMU Theater here in Seattle. It's
Hmm.
just a big, huge convention hall, right?
Hmm.
Nothing prepares you for that. But if you've been doing what I've been doing, which has always been, I'll sing for almost anyone, almost anywhere, almost any time.
Hmm.
I mean, I can remember in the 70s riding up to the little lake to go American Lake. Ask your folks about American Lake. They'll
All
know what
right.
I'm riding my bike up to American Lake, listening to the radio, singing every single song that was on the radio. Hell, my very first memory was when I was 5 years old. I'm on a schoolyard in Anchorage, Alaska, and kids are around me throwing songs at me. Do you know this one? And I sing it. Do you know this one? And I hear this voice. We're out on the schoolyard, and big fluffy snowflakes are coming down because it's October.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear this voice, and it's this woman calling my name. I turn around, it's my mom, and she thinks I'm in a fight because she at school.
Yeah.
See the schoolyard from across the street. She saw all these kids were around me. She thought I was in a fight, and she's coming out to quote unquote save me. And she's like, "Uncle, are you all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm just singing."
Mm-hmm.
It's all I've ever known. And so I don't think very much of it. I sing in the department store to whatever's playing. I sing in the grocery store. I sing in the car. I sing when I'm walking along. That's who I've always been. And people who have known me for a time, that's who they've always known. So, I've always just tried to be me. And the hard part is resisting the temptation
to lose that. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm not going to be like anyone other than myself.
Mm-hmm.
So if it doesn't feel right, don't do it.
Yeah.
But look inside yourself. I mean, I kid you not, 10,000 hours is like totally galvanized all the things that I used to think about this business,
mm-hmm.
and reminded me who I am. When he says, the greats weren't great
because they paint a lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Greats were great because they paint a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have a huge box in my closet in the studio that has all the lyrics from like the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, when I first started writing my own songs. And I haven't even delved into that box to find out what they were. I just knew I didn't want to get rid of them because I might need them someday.
Yeah.
That's what I've always done. And, like I said, almost every single song on The Heist describes a part of my life. Make the money, don't let the money make you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the tune. That's where I'm at right now. I can't be like Nate Dogg,
mm-hmm.
be like Joe or anybody else who's singing hooks. I can only be me. And if somebody likes what I'm doing, well, let's have a conversation and see if it'll work. But I'm not going to sweat it if you don't call me. You know what I mean? I got my own other stuff to do, just like I've always had my own other stuff to do.
That's cool. Yeah, so my mom and I, we flew out. We went skiing for her birthday this weekend. We were flying back, and I was kind of prepping for the interview, and she was just saying how proud she was of you because, like you said, she said that's how she's always known you, as being just loving music and always doing it. So it's cool to hear the success. I'm good with wrapping up. Make sure you follow Wanz on Twitter at @TWanz, TEEWANZ. We'll be trekking with you. He'll be going, like you said, to Australia in February, so make sure you track with him. See all the cool stuff, what's going on. Wanz, thank you so much, man, for coming on.
No worries, man. It's my pleasure. You can find me on Facebook at Facebook.com/TEEWANZ, and I try to post pictures because I since this is only going to happen probably once, I take pictures. When Alzheimer's steps in, I can like. So you can track me there, but I'm going to be launching it. I'm going to try to get a new website up by the 1st, where people can like look at my music, buy my music, and merch and stuff. But I'm kind of making this up as I go, and I am not an expert at it at any means. But before I go, I just wanted to thank each and every one of you guys, you included, for the attention, for the questions, for the love that I get back on Twitter. And for the well wishes and to your folks, thanks very much. You guys remind me of who I've always been, and sometimes it's really easy to get lost in the weeds and forget.
That's cool, man. Well,
yeah, man.